This is Rick Sparber. I'm here to demonstrate to those beta testers that have the Lathe Electronic Edge Finder Model 1 or 1.5. The circuit's going to look like this. If you look at the circuit board, there's no beeper in this model. In these two models, there's just an LED here that will turn green or red. And I happen to have this in a small Altoid box, and I put a magnet on the back. I just stuck it on there for now because it's easier for positioning the box to demonstrate it. So here are the two leads, and I take one and just slap it on the chuck. The chuck is clean. It's not covered with swarf, which will cause error because it's going to bridge any gap between there's any swarf between the cutter and the workpiece, then it would make contact first and give you a false reading. Now when I connect the two probes, one to the spindle, anywhere on the spindle, it could be the chuck, workpiece, doesn't matter, and the other piece goes on near the cutter. Again, it's not real critical. If I wanted to, I could connect it to the ways, but of course this is a lot closer. And you can see here that the LED is green. So green, we're very clever at picking the colors. Green means go, and as I feed in, you see how it changes to red, and red means stop. So when you see the red light, you stop turning the in-feed, and you can set your 0. And when I back out, it goes back to green, and you do not want to mash this down. You want to be very gentle with it. It's going to detect touchdown as soon as you have electrical contact between the two, between the cutter and the workpiece, and we're talking about a very small fraction of a thousandth of an inch here. So you can see you can go back and forth as many times as you want, and when you're done, by removing the probes, you turn off power. So that's really all there is to it. Now, a word of warning. Let me put both of these probes on the chuck. You see how it turns red. If you see red when you hook up the probes, then, now in this case I've connected them both to the chuck, so I'm not surprised that I see red. The resistance is very small, smaller than the threshold of the device. But if I have one probe on the chuck and the other on the cutter, and I were to see red, that says that the resistance of your spindle is less than the threshold. And for the Model 1, that's about 2.06 ohms, and for the Model 1.5, it's about 0.2 ohms. If you see red, stop. If you feed in, it's not going to turn green. It's just going to be red, and you're going to have a tool crash. So you have to figure out why it is that it's feeding, it's red. Very common reason for that is that the spindle bearings have a little bit too little oil in them. That oil, we're talking a very tiny amount of oil here, is enough to increase the resistance above the threshold. So if it normally shows green and you see red, try hand turning the chuck and see if that causes it to switch to green. If it switches to green and it doesn't go back by itself, go with it. That's good enough. It'll tell you if there's a problem. Now, if after you get it to turn green again, it flickers back to red, again, stop. Don't feed in. It's not going to turn green. But if this happens often enough, then you've really got the wrong model, and you may need the Model 2, which is good to 0.01 ohms. But we haven't released any beta versions of that yet. So hopefully this will clear up any questions. If it doesn't, please contact Mark or myself so that we may redo this video and make it clearer. So that's all for now. Bye.